yesterday I worked until 1 a.m. to finish grading you guys' homework.
Gee.
The reason is because usually we have 1 week to grade student homework, but since next Monday we'll have the exam, I want to give the homework back to you today.
We could have given you another day
Yeah.
or two.
That's okay. That's okay. Because I co-sleep with my daughter, so I went to sleep at 9 and wake up at 10:30, so it's fine. Yeah, so it's really hard to go to sleep after 2 hours. Wake up. So I work until 1 a.m. It's still fine. So I finished grading homework. Oh, it should be fine. But some students they didn't finish the problem. It's fine. Okay. You maybe learn the lesson from this time. You probably as early as you can. And I also will post the homework answer back for the day. So if you have questions about why you need some points in some questions, please refer to the homework answer. And you must already find the sample exam, right? Post in Blackboard, right? But I would suggest you to do the sample exam by yourself, especially time control. You want to make the weekend. You give yourself 1 hour, right? It's 1 hour to see whether you can finish this sample exam. We see, okay, if you spend more time in concept question, well, you know that in the real exam next Monday, you probably want to week, right? So you know that time management is very. Many students complain after exam one. They say, okay, it's not hard, but I don't have enough time. I say that's the reason I post a sample exam. I want you to practice. You know that, okay? 25 multiple choice question, 1 hour. Well, you have to be very careful about your time spent. You definitely want to monitor that when you take the exam, right? After half an hour, you want to check whether I roughly finish the first part or even more, right? You want to do that. So that's my suggestion. But let me know if you review the homework answer or sample exam, you have question. For example, I graded the last student until 1 a.m. So probably I can make some mistake yesterday evening, right? So, question, comment? Remember the Monday exam, so turn off your cell phone is very important, right? So bring the calculator. Bring the calculator. I don't want you to say, okay, I don't have calculator, then I have only like cell phone to use calculation. Right? Bring the calculator. Print out all 3 chapters notes. Oh, that's very useful because sometimes it's easy to find answer from notes than to the textbook. Right?
If all my notes are on my laptop, can I bring in my laptop?
No. You can bring, but you can't use your laptop. Yeah, because this is laptop. It means okay, you can access to Google because well, nowadays almost you can find everything on website, Google. You search for this question, okay, supply chain. What is focus of supply chain? A, B, C, D. Pop out down. I can tell you. So, yeah, that's the reason also you can't use a cell phone because it's so easy to access the internet. Well, if we have some other like FBA class, I give them the project. You can use Google because that's all the question created by myself. But for this 1 hour test, well, I can't give you some example like this. It's not. Okay. Other questions? So, I will give you back the homework to you by the end of today's class. So now let's continue our study on chapter 8, the location planning. I think we have discussed until this page, the global location. Okay. Global location, definitely. Any decision has cons and pros, especially for the global location. You can get lots of benefits, but you will take lots of risk at the same time, right? For the global location, if you open a new store in like Malaysia, if you set a distribution center in Britain, if you open a new manufacturing place, let's say Algeria, so all of these decisions can make you have some advantage, especially the first one, the markets. You can open a new market, so at least you can make yourself exposure more in that market. If you open a store, right, either retailer store, distribution center, or even a manufacturing in that country, well, the people in that country, particular country, know your brand much better. Well, they probably have some relative friends working for your company or business related to your company. Then definitely it's easier for you to accept this brand. Well, same like United States, right? Well, with Toyota or Honda, this Japanese car, they have the sites, produce the cars in US. So then we kind of accept, okay, that you probably trust the quality, you should trust the quality of Japanese cars, right? You trust the quality, and then you know that you will be some friends work for the dealership of the Toyota, work for the company, then it's more acceptable for the customers. Cost savings. Okay, sure, that it can save a lot of costs from labor costs, from transportation costs, from raw material. Legal and regulatory. So how can this be a benefit? This can definitely be a disadvantage, right? How can it be benefit? Legal and regulations.
I'm thinking some tax policies and so on.
Tax policy, sure, right? For example, Burger King, they become a Canadian brand. That's one reason, probably, is the tax benefit. Anything else? Any other example? That's we benefit. We go to business in another country. We benefit from legal policy or regulations from their local governments or national governments. Any other example? No example? You don't think there's any benefits? The best place to do a business is United States, right? But still, there's some benefits, right? Like Patrick mentioned, there's tax. Anything else you can benefit from other country?
Well, the regulation on minimum wage and how many hours an employee can work before.
Exactly, right? They don't have minimum wage, they have much lower minimum than here. Right? The same like low-end jobs, well, probably any people in the world do the same thing, but you can have lower. Another thing I have mentioned is my example, right? In the construction industry in developed countries, they can begin to work until 6 a.m., 7 a.m., work until 11 p.m. You can't do that. You can't do that, right? So that's if you have an urgent project, it will delay, right? So a lot of things can affect you, can be a benefit.
Yeah.
Financial benefits. What kind of financial benefits we can get when we set a store or factory in another country? Financial benefits? We have several students in finance major. I would expect you to think about that, right? If you're in finance major, if you
the exchange rate,
exchange rate, why is it benefit?
it can be.
It can be, yeah. I mean, in what situation it's become a benefit?
Well, I mean, if there's in a certain way you can produce in a different country where we say that the dollar is very strong against relative to the yen, or to the yen, then of course the country can take advantage of that and produce at a lower cost in one country.
Very good. Yeah, because the currency change, right? Currency rates change. So if you set up a factory in that country and their local dollar become weak, and then you benefit, right? Your production costs become lower and lower. On the other hand, if you open new markets, right, or the same, if their money dollar becomes stronger, you get more and more revenue. Well, the trade-off, right? If you sell this in that country and their money becomes weak, then you get less revenue. So it can be an advantage, but it can be disadvantage. But yeah, definitely, it can hedge the risk. That's the most important thing. You have a bunch of different monies from different countries. That is hedging risk, right? It's not just U.S. dollar. U.S. dollar before recession is very stable in like 20 years, very stable, right? Many other countries like China and Japan, they just look at U.S. We keep the same ratio with U.S. dollar. So no matter U.S. dollar, your deflation or inflation will keep the same. But during recession, well, Federal Reserve in USA, we have to depreciate because we have to save our economy, right? And that is not as strong as before. Now it's become strong again. But you can see during that time, if you have a bunch of other currencies, you hedge your risk, right? When U.S. dollar is not so strong. There are other benefits we can talk about, like maybe the higher labor quality, right? Expertise just in like German, we need that, right? And it can be something about that's the collaboration, right? If you have a collaboration with collaborator in some other country, then you have a site in that country. That is easy for you to communicate. So there are lots of other benefits. Next topic about disadvantage. But we have heard of that. We don't need to come to this class, you heard about that. But let's summarize that disadvantage. The first one is transportation costs. It's clear, right? Very clear, right? Because we have global sites. No matter it's distribution center or factory, they finally, many of the finished product will ship to the United States, to this country, or okay, no matter where we teach that class, even we teach in like Sweden, the same, right? We ship to domestic markets. The transportation was very high. Even that, you still like say cover that's the region Europe. But if you don't set each size for each country, then still transportation cost is very high, right? Security costs. What type of security costs we have to charge when we go globally? You give any security costs? Example?
Well, you have to, it costs to like protect, like, from other people stealing our ideas or our software.
Yeah. So traditionally, you have more camera, you have the safety guards, but now the cybersecurity is definitely a area we need. Many companies invest a lot of money. It's not just about like Department of Defense, because even your company, your intellectual property, for many companies, is the most precious property, right? You want to do the cybersecurity to protect all the information that's can accessed by internet. Unskilled laborers, we have heard that for so many years. We understand that especially if you do the outsourcing to some developing country, right? So you can face this problem, unskilled labor. Imports restriction. Okay, so you do the business, you produce the products overseas, you want to ship back to United States, then they have higher tax, right? And they maybe have a restriction, how many units you can ship back, even that's your company brand is US, but since you produce in other countries, so that's a problem, right? You can see any brand has label, you can see that's produced in some country and distributed in United States. They want to have some workaround method to make sure they can import back, right? Because some company did that thing, very interesting, right? They produce 90% of products. They just come back to United assemble, and they say produce in United States. Well, definitely the government has a tight control on how to define whether this product produced as a percentage, right? They say, if you already finished almost all the parts, you just ship the component and finally 1 second combine them together, it's hard to define that you say made in US, right? It's really hard to define. But that's this restriction, right? There's definitely some workaround for this restriction. That's what we heard a lot, right? So when you do outsourcing, you heard about criticism, especially during the recession, right? If economy is good now probably we heard less criticism as well as like outsourcing. But think about 5 years ago, we heard a lot. Right? Because when the unemployment rate is double digits, well, definitely, that it's pretty easy to point finger to the outsourcing company, right? But definitely, even the economy is good, we still think about that. Risk.
Thank you.
The risk, okay, it's not exactly disadvantage, not like transportation costs obviously will be high, but there's something can be, in my opinion, can be more harmful than the obvious disadvantage. Political instability and unrest. Well, what's happened in the Middle East in the past 6 years? Well, definitely is a disaster for the organization. Have business in so many countries in the Middle East, right? Second topic, well, it's a really tough topic now, terrorism. Right? Terrorism is surprisingly after 9/11. Well, globally we see more and more terrorism. We see more and more terror just last week in New England area, New York, New Jersey, Minnesota. You have heard that, right? Same day, right? 3 attacks simultaneously. It's really hard to explain that it's not a terrorism. It's really hard. And other countries like Europe, right? Like Britain, France, right? Like in the France Independence Day, almost 100 people died. You can see that crazy truck driver hits just randomly, right? And even in like China, it's the same. Or like India, it's the same. Developing country, most countries suffer a lot from terrorism. And one country I think is pretty special, maybe Japan. Well, Japan is always very safe. Crime rate is very low, and also they don't have a lot of terrorism. One reason I'm thinking about why Japan is pretty special is that Japan is an island, right? So it's easy to get check the security when there's visitors with Japan, from a visa, from background check. But like the Europe, right? They definitely connect to the Middle East. Like US, you have Canada and Mexico. It's pretty easy to travel to this country, even by flight, but most likely by walking or driving. And China also the same. Then you can, but Japan is pretty isolated. Another thing is that Japan's visa application is very, very complex. Because I just went to Japan, I applied visa again. It's fine for me, but for my parents, when they applied visa, it's even harder to apply the visa to US. They needed to some people to give the guarantee that you will come back to your country. What is your saving accounts? You have to reach some amount of saving accounts. Well, you have to prove a lot of things, working relationship. Then you just travel to Japan. So they have pretty strict policy. That's probably the reason. But still, it's a global problem, definitely for sure. Especially when we talk about US, Europe, or China, all these countries we mentioned has this problem. Economic instability, well, definitely. Even your political is fine, okay, but if you have economic instability, we have problems, up and down. Legal regulation is an advantage we have talked about, right? Here, legal regulation, but it definitely can be a risk, right? For example, developing country, minimum wage, as Jennifer mentioned, can be now much lower than the United States, but they can increase. They should increase. That's the reason, right? If your country, after 10 years, you develop a GDP like 5% increase every year, and then you never increase the minimum wage, I think that must be something wrong with the government, right? If you increase your GDP for 10 years, 5%, you should increase your minimum wage. Then your company, do outsourcing, can suffer. Ethical consideration will definitely see another problem. Ethical consideration, right? Because the ethical level is totally different. And also sometimes it is a culture different, right? In some countries they don't think it's an unethical behavior. So how can you know that? Even you don't write down in the handbook, you think it's a default behavior in the United States. It's probably not the default behavior in other countries. Right? For example, they chat with their friends or relatives, but what happened in the company, what happened, then it can spread out by Twitter, by Facebook easily. That can hurt the company easily, right? Cultural difference, last one. Well, like we have several students, like Anna has went to China, and some of you maybe went to some other country. Well, one thing you probably have faced, that Anna has mentioned, right? Only until you reach this country, you spend some time in this country, is you really exposed to this culture, then you understand the difference, and you adapt much better to that difference. For example, here you probably will have some international from China, from German, from Sweden, from like different countries, right? But you think about it, the international students come to here, they're definitely Chinese, right? Germanese, right? Sweden, but they are open-minded. Patrick, right? When Patrick decided to go study abroad, that doesn't mean he's not Sweden. He's definitely, but probably the excellent students, or at least very open-minded students, come to here. So generally speaking, when you get good relationship, hang out with international students or even international faculty here in the United States, the group of people can be a little bit different when you go to that country, do the business with the people in that country. Agree with me? Yeah. Right? This can be different because it's like already filtered, right? They come to here because maybe at least they probably like US culture. They want to make friends. They are, I bet, probably very open mind. That's the reason they dare to travel abroad, right? So that's you normally, oh, I know some Asian guys here. I know a lot of friends from Europe here. It's still totally different. Only until you do the business with them. So that's my suggestion. So if you have time, have chance to travel to other place and to explore the different, it's really hard to explain that. Well, I think I have a pretty like international background. When I work as a company, I also have deal with customer from Great Britain, Holland, like India, Brazil, Mexico, Canada, all different countries. Well, I can feel the difference for all the partners. They're very different. I can't say which is good or bad because there's a difference. Well, you probably, every person have a preference of which culture you like, right? But still, well, it's really hard to judge. But since you have to do the business with them, it's very important, right? You understand the difference, you appreciate the difference, you can still work with them. So that's my suggestion. Okay, and have you guys faced the culture shock in the past? Culture shock? What about you?
Yeah.
Come to here?
Yeah.
Okay, could you, because Europe, generally speaking, we think, right, is not similar to United States, but it's very close, right? Okay. What's the culture shock you face?
Well, the biggest thing was the whole. So down in the South, there's a lot more religion involved in everyday life.
Oh, yeah.
That was the biggest thing for me, because we don't even talk about it where I come from.
Okay. So,
But also like so, and that in terms affect how people act and certain behaviors and what you can and cannot say. People believe. I mean, I remember my freshman year. I had in one of my classes. We were talking about the Great Recession in microeconomics or macroeconomics, and one of the students said, "Well, it was God's will or something like that." It was similar to that, and to me, that was kind of like a shock. That no, we can explain this with science. But so somebody really believed, and so I mean, you can believe whatever you want, but to me, it was so strange to hear somebody just say that.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a culture, as you mentioned, probably is Southern culture, and especially true, because when I was in like New England area, it's not as strong as here, but definitely there's a difference. I agree.
Another thing was the whole meeting people's parents thing. That here in the U.S., meeting somebody's parents is a big thing. Whereas back at home, it's really not.
Really not?
I mean, people go to each other's houses
so
all
easy.
the time. Yeah. So that was something that I thought was kind of strange.
Is that a big thing for you guys? Meet your friends' parents?
I wouldn't say your friends, but if it's like your
Girlfriend or boyfriend.
Yeah.
Oh.
You're dating somebody, meeting
Right, like-
their parents is kind of a big
You,
deal.
I think if you are dating with somebody, it's always a big thing. Meet with their parents. No?
No.
In Europe, it's not. In China, it is,
Well,
right?
I can't
Why
say,
it's definitely
I can't say
big-
Europe, but in Stockholm, Sweden, then yeah.
Okay, oh, it's not. Yeah, because, well, that means you are, well, in China, it's really hard, right? So I met with my wife's parents until we got relationship more than 1 year. That's another reason is visa problem. It's really hard for me to go back to China. But 1 year, right, we had a relationship. We almost engaged. That's we, decided it's formally introduced to. It's like you hide your boyfriend, girlfriend, until you think, okay, sure, or almost sure, that's this person. But that is too conservative, I understand, right? But here, I understand, right? Especially, that this also related to the Southern culture. I think I like this, but in the Southern area of the United States, it seems like tighter family relations than like in the New England area. Do you agree? You guys agree, or right? Don't agree? Why you think this has loose?
No, I have family in Pennsylvania, and it's a very tight knit.
Pennsylvania is fine, but when you go travel 95, even northern, like New York City, New York States, like New Jersey, Connecticut, Massachusetts, I find that. And the other reason, because that's country, this place, our place, North Carolina, well, many people are living close to their parents. That's the reason it's pretty easy to get like tighter relationships with their parents. So, well, that I agree. Probably that's for you. It's definitely a short. But just perform well, it's fine. Right? Impress their parents, so that's your job. Anything else? Some other students, any culture shock you face? Anna must face something when you travel to China, right? Scorpions? No culture shock. You guess you stop that, right?
Would be a culture shock.
No culture shock.
Bad.
Food shock.
Well, food, yeah. How in like America, when you eat dinner or lunch, you just kind of eat, but like in China, you have to wait till the eldest eats first. You can't eat until they eat.
You mean older people to eat? Yeah, are you doing that when you are in China? You wait for them to finish?
Yep.
Which?
Well, not finished. Like we waited for them to start eating, and then we ate.
Oh yeah, usually it's the host, right? When host like say, it's not really older people like your host, but guests wait until your host first use chopstick to get the first dish, and then everybody began to eat. In rural place, that's true. That sometimes you have to wait for your grandparents they to finish that, and then you begin. But it's pretty rare, I would say, in big cities. But that's true. Okay, even if it's a buffet, right? We have a buffet, right? Probably you need to wait until your host begin to eat, and then the guests and then follow to eat. That's the culture.
I know, like, for my family, if it's, like, a big dinner or whatever, it's, like, the oldest go, the elders go, then the women, then everybody else, and then the children.
Why is the man? I didn't hear the man. Never eat.
It goes elders, women,
Okay.
and the children.
I see. That's very interesting culture too. Right? So I think we have seen the culture different. We face a culture shock. For me, I face some culture when I first came to the United States. Definitely, for sure. There's culture shock, different language, different culture, and then the one thing is culture shock is different with your expectation. You think, okay, I prepare well. Okay, I came to the United States. I came to China. I go to Europe. I prepare well. It's not as so dramatic than you think, right? That's also culture. You think from the Hollywood, it's always like you think many people come to us. It's so easy to get the relationship with local citizens and break up 1 month and change again. Well, if you look at our like different TV shows, it seems like a normal life in the United States, but it's not true, right? We know that. You come here, it's true. Okay, maybe for some people that's true, but I still would say for most people not true, right? It's not so easy. Another some culture shock is like, okay, if you go to some other country like Asian country, you say, oh, people are so shy. Oh, don't talk with them while they are so nervous. It's also not true. One thing I find is the trend is that for the younger generation. When I came to the United States in 2004, I also prepare, okay, that's okay, different people have different culture. So, and then after 1 month, I have a 4 PhD student in the math department in Minnesota. We become a good friend. One is local person, Mike, he's from Minnesota, pretty rich family from Minneapolis. Another guy is Jose from Mexico, you can know from the name. And we have another friend from Bulgaria, from you and me. So we have 4 people, we go to bar together, it's free, like $1 a taco together, right? And sometimes they tease the waitress with me, okay. Yeah, so that's the life we have. But you can see 4 of us from totally different cultures, right? Totally different. Sometimes we also talk about religions, right? I ask the guy from the Bulgaria, I say, are you a Catholic? Because I think in Europe many people believe that. And he just told me, okay, child, don't talk about it. Let's drink beer. That's the thing we believe war, right? So that's something you think about younger generation, easy come, easy go, and a more open mind. That's a lot of things have the common interest. I think that's the thing we should focus. Well, still, we from different background, we have different beliefs or different idea or habits. But I think for you guys, even much younger than me, you must have a lot of common with your similar ages for the people of the world. We get the common interest and we work together. That's the benefits from globalization. Of course, I still suggest you to travel a lot to expose that. If you will travel to different regions in the United States, you will expose different culture, right? Very different. How to manage the global operations, right? There are lots of things we should think about, language and cultural difference. Okay, we have the risk of miscommunication, development of trust, different management style, corruption, and bribery. Let's talk about one by one, right? Risk of miscommunication is not just the results of the language issue. I would say, okay, English, nowadays, if you do business all over the world, lots of people can speak okay English. At least you can understand if you ask them to repeat. If you don't ask them to repeat, you misunderstand. I think that's your responsibility, right? So they can explain it pretty well. But there are lots of things coming from the cultural difference, miscommunication, right? You think about, okay, please deliver the product in 3 days. Well, in some other countries, they think of 3 days is roughly speaking. You accept from 1 to 5, right? That is an implicit explanation about like you deliver 3 days. But when you say 3 days, maybe you expect at least receive at the end of 4th day. So that's the miscommunication. I would explain that, right? A lot. Trust. Even you have the same language, right? Even you have similar background, it's still really hard to build trust because you don't know this company very well overseas. That is a long term. But there are very good examples. For example, Apple. Apple has one of his biggest suppliers called Foxconn in China. Well, they have very, very stable relation for more than 10 years. More than 10 years. They become very successful partners. Apple probably has the best relation with this company than some other partner in the United States. So you can build very, very good, trustable relations with your partners overseas. But usually it requires longer commitments and more efforts. Management style, different. Well, I think the U.S. management style is between like European management style and like Asian management style. That's my personal. That's definitely probably closer to European management style. But European talk about management style. Talk about like first I talk about the culture of the company. So I will ask you guys when you begin your first job, maybe later, the first permanent job, right? Work for a company. How many paid vacation days per year do you expect?
2 weeks.
2 weeks? That means 10 days, right? How about you guys?
days.
5 days? That must be like full line or someplace. 5 days? Nothing?
Not part time, no.
Yeah, I mean for like full time later, right? I graduate, you find a full time job, right? How do you expect? From your parents, probably know that. You from your cousins or like auntie, uncles. How many days do you think is
Well,
common?
usually it's PTO, so it's gonna be personal time off, so it's
Yeah.
combined with your sick days.
Let's not talk about sick days because
Well, no, but a lot of companies, they combine that, so they give you like 20 days or 25, but it's combined sick days and,
But when we talk about the United States package,
yeah,
United States, still 5 days, 10 days.
Well,
I'm still talking about.
United States. Okay.
Yeah, because I was working this summer and they
Yeah,
had
I see.
combined.
one of the places I worked, it was your first year you got 5 days, your second year you got 10 days,
Okay.
and then
It's pretty
after
easy.
3 years you
Yeah.
get 3 weeks. So
Yeah.
it was a gradual
But
increase.
you're like 3 years is 3 weeks, right? Then it's become very stable. I would say that's like 10 days to probably 20 days. 10 to 20, that's a big range. It's very common when you work for like 5 years, or in my age,
5
right? It's pretty common, right? We can't say fresh graduate, that's a different story, right? So that's 10 to 20. Do you know Europe? Like company in Europe, probably not in Sweden, but also about like France or Britain. Do you know how many paid off days per year they have? Generally speaking,
Don't they have like 30?
40.
40 is pretty extreme. Yeah,
Sweden, 25.
25.
25 to 30.
25 to 30. I would say around 30. Well, and it is not, they don't have strong discrimination on okay, working years. That's the difference. Like you work first day, you have 5 days. When I graduate, I begin to work in 2010 in the consulting company. I have 3 weeks. It's pretty good, right? See, because this is the high-tech company, so the beginning vacation is already 3 weeks, 15 days. 15 days. Okay, I think it's pretty good. I chat with my friend in France. Okay, she is also Chinese and graduated from top university economics major, PhD in Marseille. So after she graduated, she found a job in Johnson & Johnson. Do you know Johnson & Johnson? It's a big brand, Johnson & Johnson, right? I said, I also applied Johnson & Johnson. They didn't even give me interview. But anyway, yeah, that's a during recession. She got a job. She told me her vacation time is 30 days. 6 weeks in the first year. 6 weeks, first job, 6 weeks. And you know that Europe, they have more holidays than many other countries, including the United States. Well, they have, like, they maybe easy to combine, like sick day or some community service. They have some, right, bonus, right, here we don't have, right? So that can create a problem. That's also, I mentioned management. For example, when I deal with my clients in Europe, do the Unilever Europe projects, I realize after May, it's really hard to make progress of our project, right? But usually there's 3 people work with us from Britain. Okay, we have conference call every week, maybe twice per week. From May, almost all the time, only 1 person is working. It's rotation until the end of August. I say, why you guys have so many vacation days? They just have. You think about my friend, they have 6 weeks. How do you will use these 6 weeks? Most likely in the summer, right? They have long winter break too, so. And then they just have vacation forever. This can be a problem, right? For management, the efficiency, the scheduling can be a problem. But here, I say it's between Europe style, Asian style. What about China? You know how many
0.
paid? No, not 0. How many? Do you know that's your parents or auntie, uncle?
15 days.
15 days? That must be working for the government.
Yeah.
Right, that's different. Working for the government always has the longest vacation day. But for many companies in China, it's 5 days. You guys should solve that, right, Jennifer? 5 days. So you can say 5 days in developing country like China, 15 days here, 30 days in Europe. Your management style can't be the same, right? You have to change. So that's something I don't like European management style because if I'm employee, I'm fine, but if I work with them, I find a problem. Right? Corruption and bribery. It's happened everywhere. We don't have to to hide that. It happened here, United States, like the state government of Illinois gets fired like 6 or 7 years because of the bribery. So it's happening in every country, but of course the extent can be totally different. So when you are doing business, especially in developing country, in some development they are very strict, okay, but there's some development they are not so strict on the laws or policy. We have to pay attention to. Definitely, I don't suggest any of you guys go to this field, corruption, bribery. But you have to understand as this. Your parents, maybe your competitor, they will do that. Well, most likely, especially local competitor. You want to understand that, prepare well for that. I don't want to take a risk because that's, for most country, this is illegal, right? You take a risk and then you get caught, that can be the big problem. Increased travel costs, okay. Nowadays it's decreasing because we have used telecommunication, Skype, or some other method to communicate. Associated with managing far-flung operation, a level of technology and the resistance of technology change, domestic personnel may resist locating even temporarily. Yeah, I asked this question before in my previous session. I want to ask you again. Let's first talk about relocation in the United States. Right. If you, after you graduate, how many of you accept to relocate in the place in the United States more than 800 miles away? That's probably is, okay. So raise your hand if you don't accept the offer more than 800 miles away, relocation. Raise your hands. Nobody will.
It depends for me.
Depends. It depends. Why is depends?
Because if I'm just going to up and leave and I know I don't have like no place to go, nobody to stay, like
You want?
that's more.
So that's the last plan. Last
Yeah.
plan. Okay.
Like, but if I know somebody and they're probably like 10 minutes away from work or whatever, then I know I can probably stay with them while I get myself on my feet.
Okay.
So I'm not going to just up and leave when I know I can just go back home and I can.
But if you I say okay, like Amazon in Kentucky, like my previous working place, well they have a top 3 distribution center. Salary is pretty good. You don't want to go because most likely you don't know anybody in that small town. Don't go, right? Daniel, yeah. So.
Didn't you say it was a college town?
Yeah, it's college town. It's college town. Okay, it's fine for you, right? So we still have some. How about that? Relocate to Europe country. How many of you raise your hand if you don't mind relocate to Europe country?
It would be a kind
Are
of.
you okay? It's not so relocate. It's not go back to home. So we have some open-minded students, but for other students, I think you don't want to, right?
It would depend. It would honestly depend on the offer and other contingencies.
Sure, definitely. But most likely company want to relocate, they have a much higher payment than you work here. Right. Of course, it's your choice. Right? Double or triple, wow, that's maybe too much.
But also their life.
I mean that's it's probably impossible double, triple the salary.
I said, but also like their lifestyle, like their living can be more expensive.
Right, I can see like Chad is also very open mind to relocate, right?
Yeah,
Okay, don't mind.
I'll go anywhere as long
You can
as
do the
it's
rest in Europe, right? Yeah, so we have other students like Anna, they travel a lot, so they probably be very open mind to
I gotta make sure I have a game plan before I go anywhere.
play safely. I know that's your strategy. But you know that when we throw out to United States, I know nobody here. I don't know Minnesota. I only know Minnesota Timberwolves. Kevin Glaze probably the only person I know in Minnesota. Well, he didn't know me, right? Kevin Glaze didn't know me, but I know him when I was in China. Right? Yeah. Minnesota Timberwolves, the NBA star. Yeah. I said they're probably the only Minnesota person. Yeah. So but I was thrown into Minnesota. But yeah. Then Kevin Glaze went to Celtics and came back to Minnesota Timberwolves. So it really depends on your personality, whether you're open-minded or your experience, right? When you travel a lot, you don't mind, right? And then it's become tough. For example, if I ask you to relocate, definitely with a higher payment, to South America, say Brazil, Argentina, mind? Do you mind? You go? Still go?
where we go?
But less. Brazil, Argentina.
Where's that at? Yeah, why not?
I would go.
You wanna go?
Outside nasty ass water.
You wanna go? Instead of going to Europe?
I'm taking people with me, but I would go.
Yeah, so you can see that's the opinion different. Or Asian, that is totally different country. Then you probably have some right consideration. Okay, maybe Japan Korea, China, I don't know, but Indonesia, that can be tough and tough. Africa, well, that can be. But this is not a discrimination because different country is in different developing stage, right? And also culture can be totally different. I don't blame any of you if you say, I don't want to relocate to China. I can totally understand because it's totally huge culture difference. Huge culture difference. Imagine it's serious, it's totally. I would worry about you if some of you say I have to stay in China in 5 years. Well, I would say you probably want to first consult with me to say what's the tricks you want to prepare when you want to relocate to China for 5 years. Because that's different. Korea, Japan, or maybe Sweden, you want to ask Patrick's, right? That's because difference is different. We have to be. Not everybody is so open mind. Even open mind, don't get used to this culture or this like the environment. You have problems. Right? That's for sure. So that's something we must pay attention to that. General procedure for location decision. First, set your criteria, right? To evaluate potential solutions. Identify important factors. For example, where is close to the raw material, well, close to the customer. And then you develop a location alternative. First, identify the country level. And then later, the general region. If you say, I want to do business in the United States, country level you fix. General region, okay, west, middle west, northeastern, and the south, right? Later, identify a small number of community alternative. You say, I want to do business in south, in North Carolina. You still want to identify is which county you want to go. Cumberland County, Moore County, Scotland County, or Robinson County. And finally, you will say, okay, we want to do the business in Robinson County. You need to identify the size to open new Walmart store. And then finally make the decision. So you can see from upper levels globally, right, from the continents, country, until finally make your decision. Okay, we'll continue for the country levels criteria from next class. Let's give you a homework back.
No.
Kinzer?
Right.
Kendall? Lingang? She's not here? Lingang? Xu Lingang? She's not here, right? Alicia? Chad? Patrick?
Oh, never mind.
John?
She's half the month.
Shh. Rashawn? Oh, he's not here. I probably will pronounce the wrong name. Shala, is that the Xiana? She's not here. Xiana.
They do us
Elizabeth.
Yeah, I was just reading.
Anna. Jessica.
I told you. Wait.
Jahong. Marcus.
Started.
Dylan.
Next time, start just using
Y'all's game
Young.
6 o'clock.
Anna.
What's Scholar's Banquet?
But then again,
Tyler.
Eric.